Now, in a matchup where both players have standstill, mulligans are not really as important. If you draw more Mishra's Factories and Wastelands than your opponent, then you can really put yourself at a huge advantage. Both players have standstill in their deck, so both decks are like very capable of abusing that type of game state. And it wouldn't even be unreasonable if one of the players sided out their standstills, because, or if both the players sided out their standstills, because both players have decks that are built to operate underneath standstill.
Right.
So
it'd be pretty funny.
It's a card that works for both people equally.
Right. So, turn 1 Flooded Strand from Shiels. And passes the turn to John, who just starts with an island. Looks like Dave wants to crack this fetch land.
I wonder if he knows Spoon doesn't have Stifle, but I think he's deciding whether or not maybe he's deciding whether or not he wants to brainstorm instead.
Well, cracks the Flooded Strand and gets a Tundra.
Or he may just want to thin his library for a card.
Yeah.
Maybe he already has a fetch land in his hand to use with a brainstorm.
He does have a Scalding Tarn in hand.
Okay, so.
And Wasteland into a Stoneforge Mystic.
Let's see if this resolves.
John thinking about it while shuffling David's library. And he has the Spell Snare.
Yeah.
And Shiels has
Dave
the Mental
has
Misstep.
The mental misstep. Snap Mental Misstep.
Yeah. Ready for the Spell Snare. So
Dave will drop down to 17 from that.
So the Stoneforge Mystic is going to bring a Batterskull to play. Not into play, but just invited to the party.
Yeah.
We're going to see.
Oh, he's coming.
Yeah. Batterskull has RSVP'd, just has not made an entrance yet. Fashionably late, I think. Although I think for John, fashionably late would be fine for a Batterskull. Does not really want to see it next turn. And
yeah, I mean, John really needs a Swords to Plowshares or a Dismember on this next turn, or he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
He does have one main deck Dismember and, of course, several Swords to Plowshares for whole playset. And there is one of them.
There it is.
So Swords on the Stoneforge.
Dave's going to gain a little bit of life, and I believe John will pass the turn back. I don't know what else the Standstill deck will do in that spot. Notice that Dave is not using this Wasteland aggressively. He knows that you want to save these for Mishra's Factories for once a Standstill War starts going down.
Scalding Tarn from Shiels.
It's also important to keep that Wasteland untapped so that John can't play a Wasteland of his own to get your Wasteland.
Yeah.
There are a lot of interesting interactions that go on between what lands you play in this matchup. And
So,
John uses an underpowered Brainstorm. He's not using it in conjunction with a fetch line, so he will perhaps be able to shuffle away one of these cards from his total hand, but he's not going to have access to a full-powered Brainstorm, full-powered Legacy-style Brainstorm. Alright, so he's thinking about cards to put back, and looking at these deck
made his
lists.
decision here.
One of the most powerful cards in this matchup seems to be Vidalcan Shackles. And on a Blue Fairies Mirror in Old Extended, Vidalcan Shackles was the absolute trump card. And Dave Shiels' deck seems to operate in a similar fashion.
Both players have access to shackles. It's just one shackles between them in John Winter's deck, I think. Did I not? I don't see shackles in Dave's list.
Yeah, Dave doesn't have it. It's
Right.
just in John's deck, so. It's a
Could-
trump that John happens to have.
Yeah, it could be all the difference.
Alright, so I feel like if I were Dave at this point, this might be a good spot to stick a standstill. He has a wasteland. John doesn't have any type of land that is really like effective in that type of game state. And next turn, John can start casting powerful things like Jace the Mind Sculptor, Elspeth, Knight of Rent. And if Dave doesn't have an answer to one of those things, then he's really going to want to, get a standstill on the table so that he gets to draw 3 cards when they cast it, which, if they don't find him an answer, will at least enable him to keep at parity with the power level of what John is doing.
It looks like the standstill plan is
Is a
something
go.
he's certainly considering. Yeah, Yeah, here he goes. Standstill. And John cracks his Flooded Strand.
John going to just thin out his deck. He wants to find specific lands here. He wants to find factories. He wants to find his one of Celestial Colonnade, and he wants to find wastelands and the one of Dust Bowl he has. Now, one advantage that Dave Shiels does have is he's playing 4 wastelands, where John is only playing 2 wastelands. But John has access to Dust Bowl, where Dave Shiels does not. John also has access to a singleton Celestial Colonnade. So, as far as relevant lands go, they're both on 8.
Yeah. John flashes in a Vendilion Click in response to Dave's standstill, which seems really good.
Does
So
seem really
target
good.
you.
Yeah.
Dave then cracks the Flooded Strand. And probably just going to brainstorm here.
Swords?
Oh, swords for the Vendilion Click seems good. Thought maybe he was going to hide something, but
Yeah. Now they're playing a standstill game. So, John's going to get a look at Dave's hand. At this point, his hand is almost irrelevant.
yeah.
Oh.
Did he even get a look? I mean, wait a second.
He
There's a
targets.
Vendilion Click.
Yeah. Trigger.
Yeah. Batterskull and Spell Snare. So. Does he
Yeah,
just-
I don't think John wants to take either of these cards, does he?
I mean, I don't know. Putting the Batterskull on the bottom doesn't seem that bad, but he does just tutor it up with a Stoneforge Mystic, so maybe it's not even that relevant. So John says land go. David does the same. We're going to play draw, land, go quite a bit here, back and forth. And John winning the land drop battle here with now 6 lands in play to Dave's 4. Dave not hitting the land drops as successfully. And people say, control decks are slow, but I think 3 turns, 4 turns have gone by in the last 15 seconds. It's,
Yeah.
Guys are fast.
Understand still. Neither of them want to do anything at this point. And John is getting really lucky hitting a lot of land drops
He
here.
really is.
while,
Like, he's hitting all these land drops, and Dave has yet to hit a 5th.
Yeah, and Dave
There-
actually was winning the land war when they started, and Josh didn't have any lands in hand, so...
So, is that 8 lands for John to Dave's 5? No. Yeah.
Yeah, and this could last a
9.
long time
Yeah, it really could.
once the standstill gets down.
Obviously, both players are.
Nobody
happy
wants to
kinda
crack
chill.
this.
Yeah,
so
exactly. They're
It's just going to come down to when somebody draws a man land, stuff's going to happen. And until then,
Yeah, Dave now has all 4 Tundras in play.
and seeing again no man land or wasteland drawn by either player.
What is it? 10 lands on John's side of the board to Dave's 6.
Yeah. Is Dave thinking about? Okay, he has to discard. Pitch this batter skull. And there's a manland. And those are the most important cards in this matchup.
Yeah, it's going to make things difficult for Dave right now. He's going to have to find an answer for that manland. He does have a wasteland, though, but and I think that's what's going to just really
Yeah, the wasteland
hold
is
John
the
back,
whole
yeah.
reason why I thought it was a good idea to start that standstill game, as he was winning in the overall war of who has more of these types of cards.
So, Mishra's Factory gets in there.
Yeah.
Decides not to wasteland it yet.
Yeah, I mean, John's deck does have access to cards like Celestial Colonnade, which is trump to Dave's manlands, so Dave may just want to wait as long as possible. He's in no rush. There's going to be this parity between lands no matter what happens.
Yeah.
All right, Mishra's Factory.
Yeah, and again, knocking David to 12. Let me read Dust Bowl again. How's that work?
Yeah, Dust Bowl is pretty huge, and I think that's going to be something that Dave just has to wasteland. Because it's...
I believe he drew a mental misstep there. Or
I thought it was Mishra's Factory.
Mishra's Factory of his own. Yeah, I couldn't tell which one it was. I think my first thought was that it was Mishra's Factory, but then I thought it was mental misstep, so...
Yeah.
Now he's going to waste the Dust Bowl, probably.
Yeah, he's going to waste the
Dust Bowl. Match the Mishra's Factory. Yeah. Seems like a good plan. Yeah, that is definitely Mishra's Factory. Looks like John's thinking about it a bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to activate this Dust Bowl. He does have a mana advantage.
Yeah.
And that just only increases it more. He gets 2 lands for 1. And makes the Mana War go to 10 to 6 again.
Yeah. John using the Dust Bowl, sacrificing itself to take out one of David's Tundras alongside the Wasteland that Dave already used to try to take out the Dust Bowl, so...
Yeah. Now, John can attack with the factory this turn, but next turn that factory is not going to be able to attack because Dave can...
Pump it, yeah. Activate pump, yeah.
Yeah, factory. But the land does have summoning sickness.
Yeah.
Now, I'm interested to see what happens now. It's basically a game of who draws more lands that do things. Alright. Yeah, sorry about the stagnant nature of the standstill matchup, but this is just the way it goes.
It's so funny, like, I love this. People just, I guess I like different things than some people, but I'm like, this is actually really interesting to me.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some pretty advanced stuff going on right now, but you know, not really. Both of them just are stubbornly not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why people don't like it, but I'm watching it. I like to really just think, all right, what's the plan here? Kind of. I'm really just kind of enjoying watching watching this kind of draw go back and forth kind of thing, like who's going to blink first.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is that it's not a matter of who's going to blink first in general. It's the player who draws less man lands has to blink first.
Right.
That's what happens here.
And I just like that. Yeah.
They're just waiting to see who it's going to be, and that may take a while. That's why I find it. Once that happens, we're gonna have one crazy turn that takes forever, though.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing. It's like it kind of builds up to this kind of crazy situation with a lot of neat interactions. So I like that. Any idea?
It's like
whose
Kill
turn
Bill.
it is
It's
right
like,
now?
oh man, it's taking forever, and then at the end, it's like, whoa.
Okay, so I didn't actually know whose turn it was just there because kind of went back and forth. But John just drew his card, so.
All right. Now, interesting thing that happens when standstills get this low is that players start using the standstill against one another to deck their opponent.
Yeah.
So there's a definite chance that it gets to that point in the game. And
yeah.
John Winters breaks the standstill.
With a brainstorm.
And he breaks it during Dave Shiels' end step. And notice he did this at a very good time. Dave Shiels was struggling to decide which card he wanted to discard for his end step. So John said, all right, well, I mean,
Yeah,
if
you're
your
having
hand's
that
already
much
good,
trouble, yeah.
then 3 cards more, you're going to have to discard down to 7 anyway.
Yeah.
And look at all these lands I have. They are pretty. So I think John just got a pretty massive advantage by casting that brainstorm. And I mean, yeah. It's
funny.
definitely
I mean,
getting countered, yeah.
It's
getting
funny though,
mental
like,
misstepped.
you know, Dave casts the standstill, and John gets the advantage off of it
Yeah.
by allowing Dave to draw off of it. You know, like exactly what Dave kind of wanted.
Yeah. I mean, things didn't really go Dave's way afterward. Dave had one of the important lands on the table before John had one, and John happened to draw into more in a shorter period of time.
It's just a matter of chance there.
Yeah. Even though the math was in Dave's favor,
So yeah, mental misstep hits the brainstorm, which I think John's fine with. I think he was just using it to break the standstill. Figured if I can get a brainstorm, great. If not, it's fine.
All right, so
And,
Dave's going to also cast a V-Click.
Vendilion Click for Dave, trying to avoid discarding at all costs here.
Yeah, now that the standstill's gone, Dave can actually play things from his hand. So. He still has a ton of cards in his hand.
I would say about 9 or 10.
Yeah, and John has 6 cards in hand right now, I believe.
There's a counterspell for the
That'll put
Vendilion
John
Click.
down to 5 cards in hand. And Dave can, I think if I'm Dave, I just force this. If I have a spell snare, I definitely just burn it.
Flusterstorm would be pretty good right here, huh? Pay a bunch of mana. How many spells have been cast already? So spell snare for the counterspell.
Yeah, well, Flusterstorm would be the same as spell snare, pretty much, right?
Yeah. No. It's just one of those cards that it's pay 1 storm, right? So we've had brainstorm, Vendilion Click, counterspell, or brainstorm, mental misstep, Vendilion Click, counterspell, spell snare, mental misstep. So Flusterstorm is for 6.
Yeah. Now, that mental misstep comes down from John. That puts John at 4 cards in hand. So,
And brainstorm from Dave.
so Dave is actually, I think he's winning this exchange by a lot. Because, I mean, what's going to happen here is that at the end of Dave's turn, he's going to discard down to 7, and he's going to leave John with,
Not much left
Not
to
much
fight
left.
with, right?
Now, an interesting thing's coming up here for Dave. Normally, you put the cards you don't want back on the top of your library with Brainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
Dave wants to put the cards that he does want back on the top of his library with Brainstorm, and then he's going to get to discard lands.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, those lands are factories or
Yeah, I
wastelands,
mean,
in which case he wants
the
them.
good lands, yeah.
Yes. Those are the best of cards.
By the way, that brainstorm apparently hit 2 Vendilion clicks.
All right, so force of will.
Yeah, force of will, your mental misstep. And
Just like that, Dave's on 7 cards and John's on 4, and Dave has a 3-1 and John doesn't. So, very well played by Dave Shiels there.
yeah, extremely well. Looked like John had a really good situation
Dave
there,
goes
but-
down. I mean, John goes down to 2 cards here.
Well, removing Jace with a force of will for that Vendilion click.
At this
point,
I
Dave
think
says,
Dave
yeah.
says, all right, fine.
Forget it, yeah.
It matters that much to you.
That yeah, all those he traded like all those extra cards off of that standstill for so many cards in John's hand, and so he's
Yeah.
just got he gets like 6 cards in hand, 7 cards in hand, and to John's 2, I suppose. I think was the number we figured out. Yeah. John is casting Crucible of Worlds. That
That's
will
brutal. That's a really, really powerful spell in this matchup.
yeah, that will be really good right here. And Dust Bowl returns to the battlefield.
And I think that Dust Ball might get to work right away
Yeah, I mean,
on Dave's Sensitive.
yeah,
Probably right away. That's right away for these decks.
right on, exactly. Taking out that factory, probably first primary target anyway.
Alright, so
Remember when Jace the Mind Sculptor was in Standard?
those were the days. That's still 50 minutes till we can say that, right?
Yeah, I mean, technically until July 1st, we can't really.
There aren't any tournaments till then.
Yeah, but
Alright.
if
so-
somebody's running a tournament, they can play Jace. So, speaking of the devil, Jace the Mind Sculptor hits play for John. So not only did he resolve a Crucible of Worlds, but he resolved the Jace the Mind Sculptor, and which is maybe the reason why he was fighting so hard over that Vendilion click.
You wanted to keep that Jason, I say.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, he must have had double Jace because he forced removing Jace. So maybe, maybe not. Maybe he just top decked it. Not entirely sure, but whatever the case, he wins the Vendilion click fight, resolves Crucible, resolves Jace the Mind Sculptor. Dave is tapped out, and not that that necessarily means as much in Legacy as it does in Standard, but clearly Dave did not have the counter spell for Jace the Mind Sculptor, or else he would have used it.
Alright.
So after a brainstorm, John passes the turn back to Dave.
Dave is most likely just going to play Jace this turn. Kill the Jace of John Winters.
Yeah, that's the best answer really that he has, I think. Stoneforge Mystic off the top for Dave.
It's a pretty good spell.
Certainly is. Remember when Stoneforge Mystic was in Standard?
Crazy times.
What were they thinking? Is that... Yeah, there's a second factory for Dave. And we have... Well, Dave telegraphs a 4-mana spell there. Wonder what it could be that he was trying to play, or considering playing. Dave has 2 Jace in hand, apparently.
So, even if the first one gets countered, he can play another one.
Yeah, so
Or if the first one trades, he can
play another one.
play another one.
Both very good options. Probably the second being better. So Jason Mind Sculptor on the stack here. John Winters says, I want to look at your graveyard. It's going to take a while. It's a lot of cards there. Dave decides to do the same, just why not?
And let's see, is Dave going to go for another Jace this turn?
So, Jace number 1 resolves. Vindicates John's Jace. And looks like he was considering following up with a Stoneforge Mystic. Instead, he just looks to have passed the turn.
Yeah,
Is this
I'd be
Dust
really
Bolt time?
surprised if he didn't Dust Bolt here.
Yeah, so it looks like John is.
There's a lot of fetch lands there.
Yeah.
Is he going to crack all of them? I guess I would. You have access to infinite fetch lands now.
Yeah,
Get Crucible.
absolutely. Why not just go through and thin your deck like crazy? You're not in danger of killing yourself from fetch land damage. At least not likely. At least not soon.
I thought he was going to go through and do each one by one.
Just for you
Like
guys.
nightmares,
Just
yeah.
for you guys. I want to resolve each of these fetch lands, shuffle, let you, present to my opponent, and then now I'll crack the other fetch land. So. Dust Bowl. Vendilion Click in response. Spell Snare and what was that?
Celestial Column.
Celestial Colonnade, okay. So.
Celestial Colonnade, pretty good here.
Yeah.
And also, I think John Winters has a Caracas in play. So, V-Click's not going to be hitting him anytime soon.
Yeah, but that what's funny is I actually like that interaction with your own V-Click.
Oh, I do, yeah.
I love that.
Protecting it?
Protecting it, reusing it. Block, block return just to, if you're just chump blocking,
Yeah, I
save
think
yourself some damage.
John can start getting aggressive.
Block
with
a
these.
Batter Skull, prevent lifelink.
I think if I'm John, I attack with my factory for sure before I do anything else. 'Cause even if you get a block, you can just replay it.
Did he let him keep both cards? Is that... Caracas. Bounce your V-Click. Mistress Factory. Knocks Dave to 6.
And Celestial Colonnade's coming down. I would assume.
I think this would be definitely where you'd want to play it. Get it active as soon as possible. And yeah, take care of Dave's other Mistress Factory with the Dust Bowl. Play Celestial Colonnade. Tap down very low there, but don't think it's that relevant, so passes back to Dave. Dave on taps.
Yeah, the inevitability of Crucible with Dust Bowl. Pretty good.
Yeah, really.
Has John drawn a Wasteland yet? Is there a Wasteland in his graveyard?
That's a good question. He may... Well, is he looking through Dave's graveyard or is it at Dave's? Okay. I don't remember seeing a Wasteland from John, but...
Okay. Because if he does have a Wasteland,
That's really
it's like
brutal.
completely
Yeah.
over. But
If that were the case, why wouldn't he have just been doing that? You know what I mean? Why
Yeah.
waste all the mana and sacrifice another land with Dust Bolt? Just replay Wasteland.
well, he wanted to get the Colonnade into play.
Oh, yeah.
Like he wanted to, like that gives him lethal.
That makes sense, yeah. So Jason the Mind Sculptor from Dave Shiels. Brainstorm from John in response.
And
Digging for an answer. I don't think he found one.
I don't think we found one either. All right.
That's the thing about Jace, though. He operates at sorcery speed, and manlands are quite the
Alright.
trump for sorcery speed, quote, removal.
Yes, it's
So-
true.
Dave's going to have to brainstorm into Swords to Plowshares here.
I think he may already have one in his hand.
Okay, okay. Some sort of removal spell to deal with a colonnade.
Perhaps that's Stoneforge Mystic and another white card, though? Or it might be 2 Stoneforges.
I'm positive he has at least one.
Swords?
No, green. I mean, no, Mystic.
Okay.
So, Dave passes a turn after a brainstorm from Jace the Mind Sculptor. John untaps, draws his card. He's arranging his Cruel Ultimatum mana, I think. Activate. Well, did he? No. Looked like he was. Alright. Arranging his lands there.
Oh, he's activating it just yet.
Standstill.
Nice. I really like casting Standstill before you activate your Celestial Colonnade.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead, if Dave does have the swords, then
It's going to give John some cards, yeah.
yeah. And it's a strange thing to cast the Standstill when your opponent has a Jace the Mind Sculptor on the table. You don't, but in this type of situation,
it's perfect.
It is absolutely perfect. It's what you need. So, Mishra's Factory and a Celestial Colonnade come in, and both attack Dave Shiels in the face.
Right. Either you lose or you give me some cards. So, Swords to Plowshares, yes. Standstill cracks. Swords targeting Celestial Colonnade. Now, if John draws into a counterspell that Dave can't stop.
And he did draw into a Force of Will.
Yeah. So, force removing spells there, and Dave can't stop it. So John Winters advances to the finals.
Yeah.
2
that
games
was a
to
really,
0.
really interesting
It really
match.
was.
The Dust Bowl Crucible
Yeah.
combination was just too much for Dave to handle.
Yeah, congratulations to John Winters, going to face Aggro Loam in the finals. Micah Greenbaum, who has not yet dropped a match,
Yeah.
will be facing down a pretty classic blue-white standstill list, you know?
Yeah, it should be really interesting. These are decks that have been fighting each other for a very long time. Aggro Loam has been around since Standstill was like the premier deck of the format.
Yeah.
And it should be interesting.
Yeah, definitely kind of cool to see.
Historically,
2 old classics,
Loam wins this matchup.
Okay.
But I mean, you never know. I haven't seen this matchup happen since like a lot of these cards have been printed. Like back when I used to see this match be played, Jace the Mind Sculptor didn't exist.
Right.
Things like that. So
could make things a lot
Elspeth
different.
didn't exist. Elspeth seems really good.
Yeah. So we'll be getting the finals underway momentarily.
And John Winters has Wrath too.
Yeah.
This deck's really good. He has Spell Snare for Dev Dreams.
Vidalcan Shackle's not too shabby if he can grab some of those. We're I don't know. Trying to get some word here. Oh, you want these? Okay, that's what you're asking. I can't read lips very well. Sorry. So yeah, it was just like I don't know what he said. So, pretty exciting though. So, Micah already pretty well rested after taking a nap during that last match. I love that.
Thrilling.
I think so. I'm not even being sarcastic. All kinds of explosions.
All right,
Did you
so,
see Dust Bowl taking out lands? I mean,
well, we are still going to. We're going to preview on StarCityGames.com this new card. The two of us still have no idea what it is.
All we know is that it's red.
We know it's red, but we have another small sliver of information about this card.
That's right.
And that piece of information is that this card is probably going to be pretty popular in Commander.
Yeah, Commander definitely not lacking for cool new cards. And if this is something that, I mean, I would guess.
Supposedly, we have been told that this is going to be an awesome Commander deck.
So, or Commander card, yeah.
Yeah, Commander card.
Right, so New card, M12. It's red and apparently popular in Commander. So just trying to speculate here. I mean, obviously, Commander, a multiplayer format, something that can target multiple people and maybe somehow is better the more people you target, or just something that affects everybody.
Yeah.
You
never know.
Wizards has been
Could be anything.
Printing cards kind of in the
maybe it's Tarmogoyf.
in the sets.
Tarmogoyf
could be
popular in
Tarmogoyf, yeah.
Commander.
And it's red.
Yeah, red Tarmogoyf. Could be Torchling.
Torchling, yeah.
They're reprinting a Torchling.
I just this bit of information that I got on Twitter. Kelly Reed of QuietSpeculation.com has a spoiler, I believe, probably going up tomorrow morning as well, and he said something about basically all he said is, "Wow, green got a Morphling." So I don't know what that means exactly. That was his teaser. I thought green had a Morphling already. It was called Thornling, right? Remember Thornling?
I do remember Thornling.
Yeah. I mean, that
Thornling
wasn't
was
that long
a
ago.
pretty sweet card.
Yeah. So
I mean, it was in Shards block. It could become indestructible.
yeah, that was actually.
It was actually
very,
one of
very
the
cool.
breakout cards of the Block Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Not many people thought it was going to see a lot of play. Not many people played it, but the Japanese teams all had it in their deck.
Yeah.